All right. Hello. Happy Monday. I'm not sure if we have audio, but I am Chelsea Brown here with another edition of On Iowa Live, and joining us this week to talk Iowa football. There we go. Men's basketball and a little bit of recruiting is Elliot Clough from 24/7 Sports. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is your first time on Iowa Live, right?
Yeah. I've seen
Welcome
Scott Dockerman
in.
do a million of these. And, of course, David Eichholt, my teammate, has done an awesome job, and you do a great job since taking over, so really excited.
Absolutely. Let's start with just Iowa football and where they ended up. 17th ranked in the final AP poll, 9-4 overall record, 6-3 in the Big Ten. Is this where you thought this Iowa football team would end up?
I think going into the year, average expectations were like 8-4. I mean, at least they were for me and for us at 24/7 Sports. That schedule was very daunting going into the year. I mean, even looking at how that Penn State game ended up, of course, Penn State fell apart, but looking into the year, number 2 team in the country. But then you also had Oregon. There I am. Oregon and obviously Iowa State was always going to be competitive. And who was their other loss? Indiana. There you go. Indiana,
the national
of course.
champs.
Yeah. Because everybody saw that coming, right? Somebody out there, I'm sure, was picking them going into the season. But a really daunting schedule even before we knew what Indiana was, right? So I think 8-4 was the expectation. And then they start getting rolling later in the season, and they look like they should have been 10-2. They look like they should have been 11-1, maybe even if you know the ball bounces one way or another. But nearly beat Indiana even before that starts. And you look at some of the throws that Mark Gronowski made towards the end of the year and is now making, I think it was at the East-West Shrine Bowl is what was going on this week. And, man, if he made some of those throws earlier on in the season, if he didn't go down against Indiana this close to a special season, and even the 17th ranking at the end of the year, I mean, to me, they're a top 15 team in the country. I mean, especially the way they finished the year. Kirk Ferentz's teams always finish the year strong, right? But for them, it's really about how they start the year, and unfortunately had some lumps early on. But to me, that's probably the best 8-4 team in the country.
Yeah. The only question mark I had is why a certain team finished above them in the rankings. But, you know, I guess head-to-heads don't matter, so we'll move on.
Especially at the end of the season?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
What do you think next year's team will maybe miss most from this year's team?
I mean, you got to start with the offensive line. The best in the country, Logan Jones, Remington Award winner. Of course, the offensive line won the Joe Moore Award. Bo Stevens was awesome this year while dealing with injury. Jennings Dunker dealing with injury as well, and he was still great. You got Cade Pieper, of course, coming back. Trevor Laut coming back. Those guys would have made a lot of money if they entered the portal. We'll say that because they're very good. But to look back at this year, I would say the offensive line. And honestly, with the way Mark was playing, man, if he had one more year, I think he's been in college for 7 years at this point, 7 years. But if he had one more year, I mean, of course, the excitement around Jeremy Hecklinski is legit. Who knows if Hank? I mean, we heard good things about Hank Brown coming out of bowl prep, so it sounds like it's going to be a legitimate competition. But the way Mark was playing at the end of the year, he was just – I mean, even in just the bowl games, some of those throws he made where it's just like if Iowa had any semblance of that sort of offense, that sort of mojo, that juice that they had at the end of the season, you know, maybe a few weeks earlier than they did, man, talking about a special season, a season of what if, which you hate. It's cliche almost too. But, I would probably say – the offensive line, but the offensive line's got a shot to be really good again next year. So, you know, you move to defense. Carson Shire will be missed. Max Llewellyn, Ethan Herkett. Jackson Rexroth was awesome this year. A former walk-on. I frankly didn't think he was going to be as good as he was, and he was, again, awesome. And new linebacker and crew stepping up, which will be fun, but TJ Hall too. I mean, it's going to be,
a lot of guys going.
Yeah, right.
TJ Hall on that side.
TJ Hall was a classic Phil Parker story, right? I mean, he started his career, had some lumps, that Nebraska game a few years ago, and then, I mean, had he not gotten hurt at the end of the year, he could have been second team All Big Ten. I think he ended up third team All Big Ten, but one of the best corners in the conference, in an 18-team conference that includes Oregon, USC, you know, those West Coast teams now too. So Yeah, a lot to miss, and that's going to happen every year.
Yes.
Just the way that Iowa, the program, really focuses on development, and some of these guys just don't pop until year 3, year 4, year 5.
Right.
So those guys will definitely be missed.
Well, it's a good thing that Iowa's been active when it comes to the transfer
true.
portal. The newest additions, the last time we chatted, was an Australian punter. They got one of those, Boston Everett, 6'1", 200 pounds. Obviously, he's been working with former Hawkeye Torrey Taylor. That's good news. And then the defensive back, Cody Haddad, out of Ohio State. He was a freshman, 5'11", so not quite over our 6-foot standards that some of you guys have here. But 186 pound DB. But obviously Ohio State. And I know he was at one point even committed to Wisconsin too. So he likes the Big Ten. That's good news.
Yep.
As far as those two additions, what stands out about them?
So to start with Haddad, some of you may have seen today I wrote an article just grading all the additions they made that were scholarship ads. And Haddad was an A for me. I mean, he's not proven, right? Like, he hasn't done it on the field. He hasn't seen a single snap. Didn't play one snap at Ohio State. I had trouble finding his stats for his senior year, so I know for sure he played part of his junior year and then got hurt.
Gotcha.
But what you see in that film is why he ended up at Iowa State. At Ohio State, those are very different programs.
Very.
At Ohio State, the ability to hit in the open field, that explosion, the ranginess, the toughness that you need at that safety, maybe even cash spot in the future.
Okay.
I mean, he was choosing between Iowa, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Nebraska out of the portal. And what do we know about those 3 programs? They all have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And for him to pick Iowa and to pick Phil Parker was, I think, telling of what he wants out of his college career. Wants an opportunity. I mean, and Iowa got 4 safeties out of the portal between him, Xavier Stiles, Tyler Brown, and Anthony Hawkins. And Haddad is the only one with Power 5, Power 4 experience, being with a program like that for a full year. He enrolled early. So to me, it's an A. I mean, he's got 4 years of eligibility left.
Right.
He's sort of that prototype DB that Phil Parker and previously LeVar Woods, now Chris Polizzi, bring in, and he pops on special teams, and everybody gets really excited.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get, and that's why he got an A from me. Had offers from other bigger Power 4 programs. You mentioned the Big Ten, Minnesota, Michigan State, and then programs like Kansas, Missouri also offered out of high school. So I really like his game. I think, again, he'll be a guy that could compete for special team snaps this year and this coming season. And then, it depends on how things go with those other safeties. It depends on if Zach Lutmer leaves for the NFL after this coming season, because he could. And so to me, he's going to be, I think, a really great fit. You look at, you mentioned it was Boston that we were going to talk about, right? The Australian punter. That was the other one. They added Tanner Philpott from Simpson. I think I saw you talk about him last week or a couple weeks ago. And Philpott is sort of, I think, that Ty Nissen mold where you feel good if you got to go to him. That's the way it looks to me. But then again, he averaged, I think he, on average, punted further than Reese Dakin last year. I'd have to go back and look at those numbers, but I believe he averaged like 46 yards a punt to Reese's 44, 43. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please. But thank you. But Boston is more of that high-end, untapped potential kind of kid. He's 19. He just arrived on camp. I think he's arriving. Either he has arrived or he's arriving on campus this week, so he will be here for the spring window. Huge leg. I don't know if you've seen the video. There's a video of him punting the ball 65 yards. So huge leg. It's about tailoring him, and one of the things that Reese struggled with, especially in his first year as a freshman, which, give him the benefit of the doubt, was situational punting.
Gotcha.
And if Boston can can work out some of those kinks that Reese had trouble with in his first 2 years, man, I mean, the sky's the limit for punters at Iowa, and of course they're going to be fan favorites, right? That's just the way it is. He's just 19. This will be a good litmus test too as to how Chris Polizzi fills into that special teams coordinator role, because we know LeVar Woods was awesome. There's a reason Michigan State poached him and wanted him to be their associate head coach too, and he did that because he wants to be a head coach someday, and rightfully so. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Boston develops under a LeVar Wood, or sorry, under a Chris Polizzi,
right?
And maybe Philpott is your guy this year, because you need Boston to, maybe get acclimated a little bit more. Talk about a culture shock and a weather shock for that young
Always
man.
is, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Always is.
I mean, born and raised Iowan, and it was cold this week, y'all. Oh my goodness.
It's still cold.
It's still cold. Still cold.
As far as who Iowa got in the portal, they strengthened their D-line. They obviously got some guys to replace their secondary that's just gonzo. Yeah. And then guys who have multiple years of eligibility. That's kind of what stood out to me. Do you think they're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. I need to double check. One of our posters said they're either at or above the scholarship number.
Okay.
They like to stick at 85. The limit now is 105 as far as scholarship goes. Iowa's going to stick around that 85 number.
Yeah.
That's just how they're going to operate. And they fill in and supplement with walk-ons here and there.
Yep.
And they're going to be a little bit more selective now with roster limits. But my assumption would be that they're done unless there's a big surprise coming. And it also depends on when you got to enroll in class, right? That's something we forget about being football fans and
right.
people who cover football. They got to enroll in class. And one of the differences between now just the one portal window versus two portal windows, I think technically, and it's probably going to happen at other programs, is that they're still going to be recruiting kids that are in the portal. Say somebody gets hurt in spring or
right.
something like that, and a kid is still in the portal at their previous school in class. Well, hey, you can come here in the summer. You can come here, be here for camp. You might not play, but I mean, there's going to be kids in the portal. There are kids in the portal right now that effectively just ended their football career and they don't know it. And those kids are still sitting, waiting, and there's probably going to be a few in there that you can pick and choose from. Yeah. I don't know that Iowa's going to do that.
Right.
But it might be situational. Maybe somebody gets hurt in spring,
Right.
Of course, you knock on wood, you hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Let's move on.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Live. I'm joined here with Elliot Clough of 247 Sports, 24/7 Sports, whatever you want to say it. Let's talk, though. You mentioned, too, coming in, the class essentially coming in. You do a lot with recruiting specifically. Yep. And what do you think of maybe Iowa's 2026 class? I know we've got some local guys in there. We've got some walk-ons that are familiar within this area.
Yeah.
I don't even know where you want to start.
I think you have to start at quarterback with this class because I know there's probably going to be some oohs and ahs, but Iowa got their most highly ranked quarterback since Josh Christensen, or I'm sorry, Jake. Josh. I know. Yeah. Jake Christensen. I got the name wrong. That's how rough those years were.
Last name.
Jake Christian. I was like, wait a minute. I know I got that wrong. Jake Christensen. And Trayden Bessinger, previously committed to Boise State, got an offer from BYU, Minnesota late in the cycle, officially visited Iowa, was going to wait until see how his BYU visit went, and ultimately decided to just roll with the Hawkeyes. Believes in Tim Lester, believes in the message that they're selling, that they are going to put the ball in the air. And this kid was in an air raid offense, really throws a tight ball, but really has some zip on it. This is by far the best quarterback prospect that they've had in years. I mean, I like Jimmy Sullivan, 2025. He's a freshman this year, redshirted this year. Obviously, James Rezar didn't work out. And, of course, there's the slew of transfer portal entries at the quarterback position. And you hope and pray, if you're a diehard Hawkeye fan, that Tim Lester changes that trajectory. And right now, that's the way it looks. I love Trayden Bessinger. I mean, he's a top 100 recruit for us at 24/7 Sports. I mean, and anytime BYU's going after a quarterback, that's usually a pretty good sign. Minnesota, whatever. But they got Ryder Lyons, I think it is, who was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country. He's actually going on a mission, so that first year, so they were trying to get Trayden in addition to him in that class. But Trayden ends up at Iowa. That is a massive win. I mean, you're going to be talking about Jeremy Hecklinski and Hank Brown this year. Next year, Trayden Bessinger is probably going to be part of that conversation.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
As far as any of these local guys, I know there's one out Iowa City West that's turning a lot of heads. Juju Manson, a lot of people talking about him, and then his teammate as well.
Yeah, Colin Witters.
Yeah.
Juju, this class has a lot of talent. Juju probably at this point might be considered underrated. One, because he's the son of Jason Manson, who is an offensive assistant. And I think some folks were like, oh, he's going to end up at Iowa. And I think that's why his recruitment didn't blow up, because you look at the physical tools and even what he did offensively, as you're seeing there on the screen, he could have played tight end at the Power 4 level. He could play defensive end. He could play outside linebacker. I always brought him in. As far as I know, last I talked to Juju, still planning on playing him at Mike linebacker, which is the most important position in the defense.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's athletic. He's tough. I mean, the playmaking ability on both sides of the ball is evident in just looking at his stats, particularly for his junior year when he was working with the previous quarterback, Jack Wallace, who's now at St. Thomas. The numbers he put up on both sides of the ball, it's like 80 catches, 80 tackles, like something crazy like that. To do that on both sides of the ball at the 5A level is really impressive.
Yeah.
So a smart kid, and to be a legacy. I mean, Jason played quarterback and wide receiver at Iowa. That's pretty cool to have him end up at Iowa, and I think he's going to be a great fit. And why I say he's underrated too is because not only did he go under-recruited, but he's a linebacker, and that position is so deep with talent, with young talent.
Yes.
Obviously, we know local guys like Derek Weiskopf, going to be Cam Buffington, Preston Reese, going to be in that pipeline. So Juju, kind of just another super talented young guy in that group, almost enrolling early, not playing basketball this year. So we'll see how that shakes out for him. I'm really excited about Juju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's this guy named Darian Jones that we got him out of the Husker State.
Yeah, that is true.
And he's going to be a Hawkeye.
Yes. So you mentioned Colin Witters before, and I'll talk about Colin after this. But Darian was sort of my underrated guy. Like, this dude just makes plays after plays after plays on offense, defense, and special teams. His brother Dallas Jones, one of our friends, formerly with Hawk Fanatic, he's my dog. Shout out Dallas. But the athleticism skipped Dallas. It went straight to Darian and their other brother Donovan, who plays football in Nebraska. But Darian, he, like, watching the tape, it was just so evident that he was gonna be really good, and then right at the end of the cycle he popped and was like a top 150 recruit in the country. So I was like, I'm feeling like a genius, and then it pops. But like I said, playmaker in all three phases of the game for Omaha North. It would not surprise me if he competes for snaps year one, at least on special teams. The type of talent, type of ball skills to play corner at this level, I mean, very well could play, I guess, safety, but that's probably going to be more of a Marcello VT, Ronnie Hill type at this level in this class. But Darian's one of my favorite. I mean, and he was born and bred to be a Hawkeye. He waited until towards the end of that recruiting cycle, but has been a Hawkeye fan his whole life. And it was only a matter of time, I think, before he picked the Hawks. And I really do think he's a great fit. I want to mention Colin Witters now because he's my underrated guy in this class. Athletic, plays basketball, played a little bit of defense before. He was actually playing tight end before he moved to play offensive line for Iowa City West. I'm a really big fan of his too, because like Darian, kind of born and bred Hawkeye. Logan Jones was actually an assistant throws coach at Iowa City West, so they got to build sort of a relationship together. And I don't think Colin's going to be offensive line. It's hard to do anyway, to play early, right? But down the road, 3 years, give or take, I think Colin's going to be one of those classic Iowa offensive line. He's just nicest kid you'll ever meet in person, meanest kid on the football field.
Love it.
You love those combinations.
Absolutely. We're going to switch gears now. We're going to talk men's hoops because you are also on the men's hoop beat. Iowa squeaked by Rutgers. It wasn't the prettiest of wins, but Coach McCollum also said that this was kind of a trap game. It did feel like that. However, it was at least they pulled it off. You know what I mean? I think that's what you kind of look back and you're just thankful. They improved to 14-5 on the season. They're now 4-4 in the Big Ten, but 68-62. Maybe not what they were expecting going into this one.
No. At one point, favored by 18.5 points and to win by 6 and just barely get those 4 free throws at the end, obviously, with Isaiah Howard and Tate Sage hitting those free throws at the end of the game. Rutgers is just not a great matchup for Iowa. That was one thing Ben said post-game. The big center, Nigerian Emmanuel Ogbole, I mean, he just walked on the court and like, oh, it's going to be a tough night for Cam Maniau. And of course, Iowa struggles with matching up with some of the size of the Big Ten. And that was our expectation going into the year. But, I mean, and again, like Ben said post-game, is you just got to find a way to win sometimes. Right. That's what good teams do. Bad teams lose, or I guess maybe less mentally strong teams lose a game like that. Less teams that aren't as tough, that don't make those winning plays. Isaiah Howard, he might not be the most illustrious. He's not even a starter, but he makes winning plays. Yeah. And that's how they got this one done. I mean, Bennett struggled a little bit, and he had a bit of a rough patch over these last few games, but somebody finds a way to complement what he does, whether it's Tavion Banks, whether it's Tate Sage, who has been awesome, or Isaiah Howard, not maybe even filling up the stat sheet, but making the winning plays, diving after loose balls, fighting for rebounds kind of thing. You bet. I want to get to some audience questions. The men, they have had a stretch now of time to practice without a game. They were looking forward to having this stretch of practice. I know Coach McCollum said that. What do you think they're emphasizing right now when it comes to just practicing? Got to be offense. Yeah. The defense is there. I mean, you only allow 62 points in a high major basketball game. You got the defense. Not that Rutgers is going to light the world on fire every night, but you got the defense. Iowa has the defense. They have the effort. They have those things that Ben McCollum was hired for. Right, they've got the intangibles that you need to play good defense. Plus, they've got the bodies. But one of my biggest pet peeves in year one so far is that they pass good shots late in the shot clock to try to get a great shot when they only have, say, 5-6 seconds left. And that is something that you never complained about with Fran McCaffrey. But this team, I think they get so focused on efficiency, which that's not a bad thing to get focused on, right? And that's one thing that Ben McCollum really preaches offensively is efficiency. Layups, free throws, three-pointers. That's the most efficient way to play basketball. That's how they run their offense. That's what they want offensively. But you got to get those shots off. Right. I do want to get to one more audience question before we go. Have you been surprised by the play of Tate Sage? Yes. I thought that he was going to be maybe an end of rotation guy, but expectation was redshirt for him. He's been awesome.
Right.
I mean, like the 3-point shooting, the defense, he's way more bouncy than I would have thought. And to be a guy that I think expectations were to redshirt because he was going to play at Drake.
Yeah.
Like he was fully expecting to be a mid-major recruit. Most of his offers were D2. For him to step up and do this, and he had that awesome quote the other night of "Why should I fear another man?" It's a lot of it's up here, but
Yes.
his development has been so good. He's a little lean yet, got to put a little more muscle on his body, but his ability to shoot, defend, and cut, like his cutting ability, his IQ is great. He's the son of a former Division II basketball player, and his dad coached him for a good chunk of his life. You can see some of that come through in his basketball IQ, and that's how you get on the court. You play hard, you make shots, and you make smart plays. That's how you get on the court for Ben McCollum.
And you asked that question, right? That got the response. I don't even remember what your question was.
Yeah, I said something like, you're just fearless. Do you meditate or something?
Oh, yeah. Do you meditate? And then you got I remember you didn't clock it at first either. You're like, what? That was great. Anyway, we will have Elliot back on the show, I'm sure of it. But thank you for your time. We are going to talk women's hoops when we come back.
Mic check. Check, check, check.
Welcome back into On Iowa Live. The Iowa City West Girls basketball team is just getting in here. Ladies, feel free to take a seat. We'll chat with you guys in just a little bit. Joining me now is Joanna Mans, Hannah Stolke's mom. The Iowa women, now 3 straight ranked wins. Boom, boom, boom. Michigan State, Maryland, and now Ohio State. Were you holding your breath during that Maryland game when they went to overtime?
You don't want to know what was going on. There may or may not have been a Maryland fan that kind of chirped over and said, wow, it's real quiet over there. And I may have chirped back, that's because my daughter's playing and I'm struggling, but it's just, that's how it goes sometimes, right?
It is.
Our Hawkeye women pulled it out. It was a great game. It was very intense at the end. So, but they did well, but it was a little intense there for a while.
I never got the sense, though, that they were going to lose that game. I know you should never doubt Brenda Freeze's teams, but I was like, And then Ohio State, that was a whole different story.
That was a whole
up by double
different
digits
story.
in that one. I mean, you were probably sitting a little bit more comfortable during that one, right?
Yes, I feel like there was still, I think I'm looking at the clock. I want to say, I don't know, 4.5 minutes left, and I was like, okay, we've got a good lead, but yet they still can come back, but there was kind of a collective collective sigh there. I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes left, and we hit a big bucket, and it was like, okay, yeah, game over. So, yeah, it was very good. I think. Hey, there's my husband. I think we played really well. I believe that there was kind of a deflation in the fans when Taylor McCabe went down there, right? First play of the game. That was really hard. It's been kind of a heavy day in the Mance household, and I know Hannah's kind of struggling with it. Her and Taylor have played together for 6 years. And side note, you would not know this because you weren't there, but the first time we met Taylor McCabe's dad, we were at this dinner, and it was Hannah's whole AAU team was there, and Michael's just conversing with him, and he said, "Hey, why did Taylor choose to come?" Because she's from Nebraska, it's a drive for them to get from Nebraska to Ames at the time. And why did Taylor come to play for All Iowa Attack? And he said to him, well, because she wanted to see if she wants to play with Hannah at the next level. So they just have a really special relationship. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch one of your favorite players go down,
Yes.
And
for those who don't know, Taylor McCabe is out for the season due to an ACL tear, unfortunately. And they room together, right?
Yep.
They
they're
live
roomies.
together?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. And
so
and
that's
Hannah's on the main floor, and Taylor's up a couple of flights of stairs. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they switch bedrooms for a couple of weeks so Taylor can, easily get in and out of bed and stuff. But yeah, she's gonna have her work cut out for her. But they have a special relationship, and Hannah has always watched for Taylor, look for her on the court. So that'll be something that we won't see as much anymore.
Absolutely. Obviously, she's one of the best three-point shooters in program history. But then also, I think losing her, it's a big deal because this is a young team. And that was another piece to the Hannah and the Kylie Fierbach that, kind of has that leadership, that experience, especially through the postseason. Is that kind of what her loss is going to be?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And I think, too, Taylor's the type of player as well that can now pour into these younger players and really mentor them, because she was heavily mentored by Caitlin in those first couple years. Right. And so, she can pour into these other girls the things that maybe they need to work on or that they're struggling to see. And so, her role is going to shift. She's still going to be there, but it's just going to be difficult. It's going to be a change. But I think anyone who watched the game yesterday, Addie stepped up, and it was like she was just ready to go, and I think, there's going to be people out there that say, oh, Addie should have played more this whole season. I really like how this season has played out as far as Addie Deal goes, because I think at the beginning, she was doing really well, but she just she wasn't up to speed ready for Big Ten play. But as we've gotten further and further into it, she's been able to get up to speed in a healthy way where it hasn't diminished her confidence, because, you get out there and you're playing against these seniors that have been in the weight room 4 years more than you. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. They're meaner sometimes, they know how to do things that can get away from the ref that they won't see. And so, I think it was just good for Addie's growth to kind of come in some spurts, and then she's had a couple of big games, and I look for her to just continue being a great player and facilitator and knock shots down.
Yeah. Another Big Ten Freshman of the Week honor for her. Yeah. So, I mean, it deservedly so. Yeah. But we kind of knew her potential coming in, five-star recruit and everything like that. Where do you see maybe her role? She's going to have to step up now because of, McCabe's absence. But I also think of Taylor Strimlow. She has a little bit more experience. She might get the start off the bench. Yeah. Do you see her role changing, or just kind of like you mentioned that she'll fill in where she's needed?
That is a great question. My husband actually said something on the drive over about how, it would make sense for Addie to start. It's more of that two-guard role. I don't know. I'm glad I don't have the. I'm glad I don't have that responsibility, because Strem also has been playing really well. I did point out that I think Strem is better as a more natural. Point guard is her position, and I don't think Addie's natural position is point guard. And so when Chit Chat does need a break, they can bring in someone like Taylor Stremlow and still not have a big drop off.
You bet. Yeah. We're going to take a break, but we have more Player of the Week awards to get to.
Welcome back. We're joined by Andy from Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness. Andy, physical therapists provide diagnosis, treatment plans, and patient care for many Welcome back. We're joined by Andy from Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness. Andy, physical therapists provide diagnosis, treatment plans, and patient care for many ailments and dysfunctions of the body. What trends do you see in your clinics as far as what people need assistance with?
Thank you. Yes, so at our clinics, we are outpatient orthopedic, like general outpatient clinics, and we get referrals from physicians, but also walk-in patients that are covered by insurance as well. I would say the top diagnoses we see are like knee and shoulder pain.
Okay, and how long would the typical person need to see a physical therapist before they're symptom-free?
That's a good question. It is highly dependent on the severity of their problem, their symptoms. Our first goal is usually the pain reduction and improved mobility of whatever is stiff or not moving well. And within 2 to 3 weeks, we can get a good idea of, hey, are we going to reach these goals of mobility? And then we can start tapering the physical therapy visits in the clinic so they can go home and work on some strengthening. If we're failing to reach their goals over the course of like 4 to 6 weeks, we would advise them on, seeing a doctor for further assessment and possible treatments.
And how can people find a full list of services and get a hold of you?
They can go to our website, chooseabilitypt.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. Joanna Mance joins me now. We're going to start with your husband's question. Considering Iowa women's basketball has 3 wins now, the last 3 are against ranked teams, should they be ranked higher in the AP poll than 8? Higher than 8? Is that, yeah?
I think that's a great question, Michael. Well, we can talk about this later. That's a good one. No, that's hard to say. I'm not sure who else they would jump. And I'm thinking on a national level and what national people know. I think people still don't believe that Iowa has the product that we have post Caitlin. I think they still think that, I don't know, we're just riding on our shirt tails and, oh yeah, they're Iowa and, they've had some big wins, but yeah, they're just not what they were, a couple years ago. So I think, there's, we kind of have an underdog mentality across the country. People just don't really like us, I think. But, women's basketball lives here. So you can rank us wherever you want. We're going to beat your teams. So
there you go. You can move up if you beat a number 2 UCLA. There you go. But I like when Iowa kind of stays at that 10 ranking, just like right there. Because like you said, then it kind of is a little bit of an underdog mentality. We're not done with those Player of the Week honors. We're going to go to Ava's Big Ten Player of the Week, who scores a quiet 20 points.
I love it.
Against Maryland, then 18, obviously, against Ohio State. She's so fun, and her and Hannah's chemistry right now is at a high.
Is at a high, yes. And she's just so, to me, she's really unassuming. I would not walk onto a court and be like, oh, that girl's going to eat us alive. And yet she's able to just post solo, get her seal done before, I tell people, these post players, if you watch them, they're working on sealing before the pass is even an option, and Ava kind of has this, I don't want to say awkward because she's not awkward, but she just has this ability to score, and it's not. It's hard to describe. She's not really a finesse player, but she puts the ball in the hole, and she's kind of got these beautiful step throughs. She's got a really nice jumper. There's one right there from 15, 17 feet. And she's, like you said, a quiet 20 points. It's not.
Right.
There's nothing flashy about it.
Nope.
I think her and Hannah together is a really amazing combination. I've been saying all year the two of them together is going to give someone fits, and we saw it yesterday against Ohio State.
Absolutely.
They had no answer. Jelani Cambridge is a Big Ten. I think she was a freshman of the year last year. She's a phenomenal player. She'll probably be first team. She was guarding Hannah, and I think she might be 5'6", 5'7", and Hannah just was able to score on her pretty easily. Their big player was on Ava, and so when you play against teams that are more guard heavy, it's just going to be in our favor. So we saw that yesterday. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, congrats to Ava for Big Ten Player of the Week. That's
you see what I did? I waited to leave Hannah for last. The Naismith Player of the Week, averaging 17.3 points, 11.7 rebounds per game, shooting 55% from the floor. I mean, I think about two yesterday against Ohio State. In the third quarter, right after the break, it was all Hannah. From blocks to steals to rebounds to shots made. I was like, Hannah has just taken over this game. And it wasn't even at a time where, they necessarily needed her to kind of take over in the game.
Watch this. This is beautiful right here.
I just think that she's playing right now some of her best basketball.
Yeah, I agree. You asked me a couple weeks ago, who do I think was the mid-season MVP, and I said, well, I don't want to say my own kid. I've seen it all along. I've just been waiting for it to kind of come to fruition, and she's feeling good. She's playing with a lot of confidence, and it's little things that don't show up on the stat sheet. We know about rebounds, we know about scoring, we know about assists, but you don't see the box outs. And I think we saw it a couple times against Maryland. Hannah is boxing her girl out, and another Maryland player is coming in to get the rebound. And I'm always like, release and go get the ball. But she's holding back, probably one of the better rebounders. That's not something that gets talked about a lot. And another thing I want to point out, which if you're a big basketball player, you can see it, but Hannah played center her first 2 years at Iowa.
Yeah.
She's kind of moved to a forward position. She is defending some of the top guards in the conference. You show me another forward in the country that can defend like her, and I will buy you a pizza. I will even buy you a taco pizza from Casey's, but because they're just not out there. They do not make players like Hannah. There aren't players like Hannah out there that can defend, 6'6" and 5'6",
right,
and do it in a really wonderful way. So yeah, I think we've been, my husband and I have been waiting to see her play like this because we know that it's in there, and so it's really been fun.
Absolutely.
I cannot focus at work. I'm sorry, anyone who works with me.
That's okay. We'll get to some audience questions really quick. Let's see. This one, Iowa obviously has a tough trip heading out west this week. What should we expect from this opportunity?
Well, it'll be the first time that any of our girls have played in either of these arenas, so that could be interesting. I also know it's LA. And there's a lot of stuff to do there. So I'm guessing that women's basketball might be a little down on the totem pole of what we're going to do for a date if we're going out to do something fun. So I don't expect really big, huge crowds. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But USC's down Juju. They've been down her all year. They play a guard heavy, and so we will see. They've got a freshman of the year candidate in Jazzy Davidson. So we'll see if, I would assume Kylie's going to match up with her. We'll see how Kylie does with that. But I think we can win that one if we play our style of basketball. UCLA is a different beast altogether. They were able to pull some girls out of the transfer portal. Gianna Neepkins played with Hannah over the summer on Team USA.
I covered her in Duluth.
Oh,
in high school.
She's amazing.
I know.
She's the youngest of 6 kids, all older brothers. So she's a phenomenal basketball player. I mean, you take a shooter with a shooter's ability like Taylor McCabe, but a little taller, and then have like a 1 or 2 dribble jumper in there. Then you have Gianna. So she's a very great player. But then, I mean, their whole starting 5 will probably play in the WNBA. way. Lauren Betts is 6'7".
Yeah.
You can't coach height. So, you watch the game and you're going to be like, wow, look how little Hannah is. No, this girl's just that big. She's good. She's fleet-footed. Gabriela Jaquez, she's a great player as well. She kind of plays that 2-3 guard. And they also have another like 6'4", 6'5". I think her name is Dukulich. She's really good as well. She can do, guard and post things. So it'll be a good matchup for us. We'll see. I would love to win, but you just never know.
Yeah.
We'll see how we play.
Well, enjoy your trip too while you're out there.
Oh, I will. I'm coming.
Warm weather, everything.
Warm and sunshine. Here we come.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Yes,
Joanna.
you're welcome.
When we come back, we will have Nate Freeze, the Iowa City West girls basketball head coach, join us.
telling me we need to check levels or whatnot. I gotta share this with my wife. Check. We're good? Okay.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. I am joined by the Iowa City West girls basketball head coach, Nate Freeze. Let's see, we sit 11-4 overall on the record, 7-1 in conference play, ranked 5th as of the latest rankings in Class 5A. That's the highest out of any Eastern Iowa team. How does it feel to be that high?
Ladies, how does it feel? Feels pretty good.
Yeah,
Feels pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's to them. Like, it's their credit. It's nothing the coaching staff is doing other than showing up and getting to be around them, watching them work and grow. And we've got a very senior-dominated group that plays quite a few minutes. So it's kind of coming together. We still got a lot of work to do, obviously, but it's a lot of fun so far.
I was going to say, I saw lots of seniors on your roster. How has that kind of carried into this season?
They've been good. They've never had a losing record since they've been at West. So it's, again, that's, what do they say with pressure is a privilege or something like that. Yeah. One of those coaching cliches that I'm sure are in 50 books now. But they own it. They don't back away from those moments. I'm very proud of them for that. Watching them mature over these last 4 years has been really special. And I've known them since they were in 3rd and 4th grade. So watching them become these fantastic young women gives me a lot of pride.
I know we don't want to maybe think back to the last game, but we split with City High on the season. Yeah. So let's think about it that way.
Didn't realize this was going to be a roast, but thank you for bringing that one up. I appreciate that.
But at the same time, when you look back at that, it's maybe better to have that now than later, right?
Sure. Yeah. Losing to a crosstown rival by 3.
You won the first time, though.
We did win the first time at their place. Yeah, we made a mess in the nest the first time. And then, we just like to turn even those moments of adversity into learning opportunities. And I think our team is moved on from that, and they learned something from it, but they're ready for the next game. We got a tough one tomorrow night against Linn-Mar, but I suppose if it's going to happen, it might as well be now, and then we just kind of lock in for these last 7 regular season games. We have one extra. We scheduled Johnston this year, so I don't know whose brilliant idea that was, but we have number 1 Johnston coming in at the very end of this season.
I was going to say, you have to tell them when. It's the very
last game.
Yeah.
As Johnston. Surprise,
number
ladies.
1 ranked.
Surprise. Yeah, number 1 Johnston coming in.
That's okay, because even looking at your schedule too, you guys have had some pretty tough competition. Not even in Class 5A and everything. How is that something that you wanted to do? Was stack?
Yeah, we did. Looking at opportunities to play, like we played Mount Vernon, your guest last week, early in the season. Clear Creek Amana, who's number 1 in 4A. Waukee at the beginning of the year. As I said, we added Johnston. We're, I think, mature enough and talking to the girls in the off season, this is what we're going to do. What do you think? And they said, bring it on. So I was very happy that was their response and not find us some cupcakes because they got a sweet tooth. I think we're more about iron sharpening iron. That's kind of one of the phrases that we throw around a lot. So it's been a pleasure to watch them embrace that kind of challenge.
You bet. Well, we will have the entire team join us on stage when we come back.
Okay. My name's Grace. Hello.
Hi.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. I have the entire Iowa City West girls basketball team joining me. Let's go ahead and introduce who's on the mic. You are. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Grace Finchum, and I'm a senior at West.
Beautiful.
I'm Ava Fries, and I'm also a senior.
Wonderful.
I'm Abby Newmiller. I'm also a senior.
Awesome. Well, I heard you guys cheer about, being ranked and everything. But what does this team do so well on the court right now that's kind of translated to why you guys have moved up in the rankings?
I think we have really good team chemistry. Obviously, like Coach just said, we've been playing together ever since third grade, a lot of us. And I also think that, what?
I don't know. You're doing great. Keep going.
Yeah, we just have really good team chemistry, and you can see that on the court. So.
Absolutely. Anything you guys would like to add of why this team has had so much success so far this season?
I'd agree with Grace with the chemistry and how we've been playing together for so long. The last few years we've learned a lot We've made some mistakes along the way, but this year we came in, we knew what we wanted to get done, and I feel like that's really showed up in our record and how we played.
Yeah. I'll say, if you could maybe list 3 things that this team does well on the court, what is it?
I would say playing together, and this year we're taking a lot of pride in our defense.
Okay.
And then also just encouraging each other to like step up in big moments and take big shots.
Do you guys like playing defense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
It feels good when we can force other teams to turn the ball over or something, and then we get our offense going the other way.
Yeah. What have you guys learned about your schedule and playing these certain teams that you obviously hope can kind of strengthen your team, especially when it matters most?
Yeah, I think we've played a lot of good competition this year so far.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just helped us win or lose. If we win the game or if we lose the game, that's going to help us in the rest of the season.
Coach obviously brought up Johnston. You guys were aware you're playing Johnston at the end of the season.
Yeah.
What do you think about that challenge?
I think we're all ready for it. Yeah.
We're excited.
Yeah. We've been talking about it for a long time, and we're ready for the challenge.
Okay, what have we been saying about it?
We
Amongst each other?
think any team is beatable. That's kind of our mentality. Just if we do what we know how to do, then we can beat anyone.
Yeah. As far as this last game, what do you think you guys took away from it?
We definitely learned a lot about like our offense and just being more aggressive and like the mental side of things, I'd say, like knowing when we need to turn something around. And yeah.
Coach, did you guys talk about goals for the season, early in the season, and what were they?
We did. We played basketball, though, not soccer. I don't know if your goals.
Oh, no, I meant goals. Like goals for your success this season.
Sorry.
You mean you do have field goals, but.
I just wanted to make sure. No, I was just kidding. I'm kidding. I know what she was talking about. Our goal is to be better each game than we were the one before.
Okay.
So whether that's winning or losing hasn't really been our focus. It's been more on execution. How do we make it about the things that we rep out in practice, the things that we do in the summer and the off season, and make it about, are my feet set? Are my hips pointed in the right direction? Am I down in a stance? And are we executing that way? And then the winning or losing or the making or missing of a shot becomes inconsequential because we know that we're practicing and doing the things that we've set ourselves up to do to be successful. So I think that's a big goal. Now, on top of that, to talk to them, they want to win conference. They want to go to state. They want to win state. Those things I think are probably just inherent in once you start the season. They keep a score for the reason, for a reason. They put it up on the board because we're competitors. But some of the little things I think are a little different this year from what they've been in the past, in those kind of paying attention to details. I think we are over a lot of mental humps that we had in the past. And that's why I said before, I'm very proud of them. They comport themselves with a lot of maturity and with some, make a pun, some grace. This is Grace Fincham, right? Our all-state player. So, so I've been happy with that. They don't lose sight too of those little things. Some teams are like, well, if we lose, we've lost 4 games already out of 15, and that's not a lot. No. But it's also, if we're planning on doing A, B, and C, you'd think that they're all worried about being undefeated, and they're not unrealistic in that way. They still keep their eyes on some of our small goals, and I think that makes the bigger goals a lot more realistic as far as reaching.
Yeah. Is Coach always this funny?
Yeah. He's an English teacher, so he tries to add in some his puns, his
Well, I can see why there's so many gills.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us this week.
Thank you.
We will see you guys next week on OnIowa Live.
We didn't get to give you a gift.